Heated riding gear is what most people recommend when it gets cold, but it is expensive and it comes with a few real downsides. In this video, I will show you simple methods that will keep you warm without spending any extra money. So if you have nothing to do, grab your favorite drink and stay with me. Welcome back, guys. I will agree that heated riding gear is probably the best option to keep you warm, but as I said, there are many downsides that people who never traveled by motorcycle simply don't see. Let's start with the most obvious, the price. A good quality heated vest or a liner will cost you around $200 to $250. If you go for a heated jacket, it's even more, around $300. The same goes to the heated pants. For a glass, you're looking at another $250. Heated socks cost around $80 or about $70 for heated insoles. Altogether, that's roughly $1,200. When I say good quality heated gear, that doesn't necessarily mean good quality riding gear. All of these heated items still need to be worn on the top of the riding gear that you already own. You might say that if you have a heated jacket and pants, you don't need to use anything else, you can use this as a main gear. But before you do that, I highly recommend to go and see it in real, test it in a few short trips if possible, and only then make the final decision. Because yes, it's correct that they are made for riding motorcycles, but not on long trips, not when you need so many different features from a specific gear. For example, ventilation, protection, and all of that stuff. That's why check it first. After that, you'll come to the same conclusion that I already have, that this gear cannot replace the existing riding gear that you already have. And it will weigh another maybe 3-4 extra kilograms on the top of the luggage that you already have, and you're gonna use it for a short period of times. When you climb to the mountains, when you go to high elevation and need a heated gear maybe for a few hours or few days, unless you plan a trip to very cold areas, then will be completely different story. Which, by the way, reminds me of an interesting story. A few years ago, I did a motorcycle trip from Germany to Bulgaria during the winter. The weather changed at the last moment and forced me to ride through almost all of Europe at temperatures between -8, -10, even -12 degrees Celsius. I was stuck in Romania for 2 days just waiting for the roads to open. Somehow I arrived in Bulgaria safe in one piece, but on the way back, it was more or less the same story in the Serbian mountains. It is an experience I will never forget and also never want to repeat. I know that everything is different when you watch it on your computer or your TV screen at home when you have the comfort, but man, this feeling of being unable to control the situation was terrible. When I was twisting the throttle and finally found a specific point where the rear wheel was not spinning, I was afraid to move it even a millimeter more or less because I can fall down, especially when I was going uphill. Going downhill was another adventure. And all of this is, as I said, an experience that I don't want to repeat. I felt hopeless all the time, trying not to fall. The whole pleasure of riding a motorcycle was gone. It was a pure survival mode. In short, this is something you should avoid whenever possible. But if the situation leaves you with no other option, keep watching, because in the next few minutes I'm gonna show you how to stay warm without spending tons of money. So beside this winter story that I just told you, what other experience I have with riding in cold weather? I have also ridden in northern Pakistan at temperatures around -5 degrees Celsius, in Ladakh, India, at -7. Oymyakon, the coldest place in the earth, I was there on the 2nd of July and it was 3 degrees. I've been to very end of South America, Ushuaia, where it was also around 3 degrees. I rode at -2 degrees on the South Island of New Zealand and even managed to find a snow in Australia. Most of the tips I'm going to share here were learned during this winter trip, but I have used them many times after that. And they always work without any exceptions. I know some of you won't have the patience to watch long introduction like this, but if you don't understand the whole idea behind it, you will risk a lot. And this is exactly what I try to prevent with this video. Tip number 1. Use a reliable riding gear. You cannot beat the cold. That is basically impossible. No matter how hard you try, the nature will come with more and more until it breaks you. What you can do is to find the gear that will minimize the cold to the level that will allow you to ride the destination that you planned without risking any hypothermia. One very important lesson I learned came from Anatoly Chernevsky, whom I met in Russia a few years ago. If you don't know who Anatoly is, he is the only person in the world who rode the motorcycle from Yakutsk all the way to Chukotka in a frozen land on temperatures -40, -50 degrees. When he explained to me how the water inside of the fuel tank was freezing because of the cold, I asked what water, and he explained it like this: when the engine is running, the fuel heats up and evaporates slightly. When those tiny drops reach the top of the tank, they condense and freeze immediately. The oil in the suspension was freezing as well, so he has basically riding without any suspension most of the time. He even needed a wire to warm the fuel line before reach the carburetor and many other things like that. When I asked him about the heated gear, his answer was simple. He wanted to have a gear that will let him ride in these conditions with a full independence without relying on any power sources. Because in extreme temperatures, batteries are not something that you can rely on, because if they stop, you're gone. You don't have anything to keep you warm. And it is more likely that you won't be able to charge them as well, because, as I said, in these temperatures, nothing really works as it should. Of course, Anatoly is a crazy guy. Actually, he's the only one who ever did it, and we're not going to have the same trips in such a extreme weather, but everything that he said make absolutely sense to me. I'll drop a link to his website in the description below if you want to learn more about him. When you combine all the information that Anatoly gave us, and when you know the high prices of heated riding gear and the downsides that it has, it should become obvious that this is not a solution that you can trust with your life. Number 2, dress in layers. I'm sure that you have heard this phrase before, but when you ride a motorcycle in the cold, you have to pay even more attention on it, because every layer has a specific purpose. For example, a rain jacket will stop the wind and keep you dry. Your riding jacket and pants provide the protection and the first weather barrier. The inner or mid layer, call it whatever you want, keeps your body heat in as long as possible. The thermal underwear will go under these 3 layers, and it will provide the same purpose to keep the heat inside of your body, but also will add a little bit more insulation and comfort around your body. So you will have actually 4 different layers, and if you include your body temperature, 5 different layers that work together against the cold. At least 2 pairs of socks, one on the top of another. If necessary, put a plastic bag on the top as well. It will protect you and keep the heat. All clothing should be made from synthetic materials. Some people say that cotton's kill, and I will agree with this statement. There is nothing worse than a wet t-shirt on your back on a very cold day. Very thick winter gloves with thin medical gloves underneath works very well. If you combine them with heated grips and a proper handguards, this combination will give you the necessary comfort that you will need to ride at least 1 hour without any problems. So far so good, but what will happen when you need to go to the toilet with all of these layers on? Well, that's already an adventure, especially if you need to do the serious job. With all of these layers, when you're moving around, you'll be tired before you even sit on your motorcycle. All of these layers will restrict your movement, and it will be even hard to breathe. But this is the price that you have to pay if you decided to ride in cold weather. Number 3, minimize the riding time. For me, about 30-40 minutes, maybe an hour was the maximum that I can hold before my feet started freezing. Frequent stops are necessary, because without a proper blood circulation, you won't be able to last that much. You'll need to stop to move your body, to move your blood, to move your feet, your hands, and drink something hot. Otherwise, you won't be able to make anything. During my trips, my body and my hands were fine, but my feet, man, this was hard. Maximum 1 hour, and I needed to stop. That's why I said 2 pairs of socks and even plastic bags around my feet helped. But it was still tough. Usually I buy my riding boots 1 size larger than what I really need for the situations like this. The trick is to have enough air around your hands, your feet and your body, and your own heat actually warm that space. And if the gear is too tight, this might be a big problem in cold weather. Number 4, reduce the speed. You might need to do this anyway, especially if it's wet or snowy, but even on dry roads, reducing speed makes huge difference. You will notice immediately how big the gap is between riding at 80 and at 120 km per hour when it comes to your riding comfort. Less speed means less wind, and less wind means less heat loss. Number 5. Insulate the weak spots. Pay special attention to your neck, your wrists, and the bottom part of your riding jacket. A proper wind stopper, something like this, is a must. I even use an extra layer on the top for maximum efficiency. Gloves should always go over the sleeves, so air, water and snow is guided outside, not inside your jacket. I usually keep my riding pants on the top of the boots, but in very cold days I put them in. And on the top of the boots I have only the rain gear. So I have the riding pants inside to provide more insulation to close the gap even more perfectly, but on the top I still have the rain gear to put all the water and snow, everything on the side. Number 6. External source of heat, if you have one. One thing that I usually do is to fill my hydration pack with hot water at every petrol station or coffee that I have on the road, and then I keep it next to my body here, like this. And it provides the necessary comfort that I need to ride at least 30, 40, maybe 1 hour before it gets cold, and after that I can repeat the procedure on the next stop. On the cold days it will freeze anyway. I still remember when I was riding in India and this was on my back and I wanted to drink water, and it was like this, like a wooden stick. Everything was frozen. Anyway, also don't forget to drink water, even if it's cold. Every time when you stop gas station or hot place, just drink water, not on the street, because on the street it won't help you much. Anyway, the last 4 tips are more related to the motorcycle, or to be more precise, the way you ride the motorcycle, but they're also very important when you need to ride on cold weather. Number 7. Steady throttle and minimal lean angle. You will probably learn this very quickly, hopefully without any accidents, but still needs to be set. Keep the throttle as steady as possible and avoid leaning too much. In these conditions everything works differently and it is better to play it safe. You might need even to turn off some safety features like traction control, especially if you have mud or snow on the road, otherwise you won't be able to move at all, because this system prevents the rear wheel from spinning, and if you don't spin on such a conditions, you can't move. Number 8. Use dual sport tires. Dual sport tires are much better choice than standard street tires, especially on snow. Something with larger blocks and wider gaps between them will work far better in these conditions. Number 9. Brake as gently as possible. Brake smoothly and gently. Sudden inputs can end the ride very quickly. Always look for alternative roads when the conditions are bad. Let me show you a short clip. This was in New Zealand. It was around 3-4 degrees, raining, and the conditions were far away from ideal. Always try to have as maximum as possible distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. This will give you a precious maybe second or 2, and this might be a big difference between going further or just bam. Number 10. Drop the tire pressure slightly. Lower tire pressure gives you a wider contact patch and a bit more stability on slippery surfaces. Don't overdo it. Something like 2 bars is more than enough. If you follow the tips that I just gave you, you will increase the chances to get back home safe in one piece significantly. I hope that this video will help you at least one person. Press like or dislike, whatever it deserves. If you subscribe, even better. See you in the next one.